Jet I-Beam is cool too, but what's with this big thing that's never appeared? When do we get to see it? When do we get to use it? And if we ever get it, will it be better than Runda? Jet's Trustmaster reward is a hat with high attack and much better defense. However, these stats can only be accessed by units that are listed as a tank. But on the other hand, tanks do get a nice passive, boosting their respective equipment stats by 50%. His Super Trustmaster reward is a cooldown ability, the God of Blitzball. This ability will raise the damage modifier of physical limit bursts that scale off the user's defense, meaning it's pretty useless for most modern damage dealers. Nevertheless, this damage modifier boost can be incredibly significant, especially for Jet himself. Well, more on that later. On to his active abilities. Jet has access to 3 magic spells. Protecka can be awakened to the significant stage 3, and while Bar Waterja and Bar Thundaja can't, they're still very strong. Bar Waterja will raise your team's water resistance by a whopping 200%, grant your team a 50% mitigation buff for all 3 basic types, and fill your team's limit burst gauges by a decent amount. Bar Thundaja is the same but lightning. He also has an active ability that can be awakened. Cover, Physical 1, can go all the way to 5, strengthening the sturdiness of the cover itself. Well then, let's go! We'll imbue water onto Jet, then boost his water damage and his limit burst damage modifier, which can get much stronger if the Rave ability is maxed. Why show unit at EX plus 3 but abilities at base? I have no idea what full limit burst does, but you can only use it once per battle. Provoke 2 is Provoke, that gives Jet a 75% general mitigation buff. Power Break 2 will inflict an 87% attack break. Magic Break 2 is the same thing but magic. Twin Break deals damage that scales off his defense and chains of Bolting Strike, gives Jet a 75% general mitigation buff, and inflicts a weapon imperil that gets better as you raise the Brave ability. Jet Formation is a cooldown ability that gives your team a 99% physical mitigation buff against fairy-type enemies, and this ability is on a relatively short cooldown compared to the other fairy haters. I'll find a way to break the cycle will turn Jet into an Omni tank, protecting against everything for a single turn, and supplying some powerful mitigation buffs to greatly bolster his chance of survival. Passives. With his Trustmaster reward or Super Trustmaster reward equipped, Jet gets 500 defense, a big boost to his limit burst damage, a huge double killer against all species, and further boosts his equipment defense when he's carrying a single weapon, with or without a shield. These passives only further serve to strengthen his already powerful foundation, though those killers don't actually exist without reaching EX plus 2. Though he prefers to carry a single weapon, this one will only grant him an attack boost, so if that's not needed, you can still equip a shield. At the start of the battle, he'll automatically cast Preemptive Bar Thundaja, Physical, which boosts your team's lightning resistance by 200% and activates a weak physical cover. Jet actually meets the full boost to the chain layer cap, so there's no need for indestructible light effects. His normal attack will also boost your team's water damage by 30%. He has a massive boost to passive provoke, and can counter with Charismatic Champion, filling your team's limit burst gauges. At EX plus 2 he gets 500 defense, Warring Spirit, and Omni Killer plus 1. His elemental resistance is also very good. Let's look at his limit burst. It deals water damage that scares off his defense, inflicts an 87% attack break and an 85% magic break, gives your team a 70% general and physical mitigation buff, and a 75% physical mitigation buff against aquatic and fairy enemies. As a super limit burst damage dealer, Jet has access to Defense Shift, which automatically boosts his defense by 250%, his limit burst damage by 200%, and fills his limit burst gauge when the super limit burst is ready to go. The super limit burst deals better water damage, raises the attack break to 89%, the magic break stays the same, the 2 mitigation buffs go up to 75%, and the species mitigation rises to 85%. Let's rank Brave abilities. I'd prioritize, well then, let's go, to raise the water amplification buff and its own limit burst damage modifier. And while Twin Break raises the weapon imperils and its damage modifier, it's not as significant, so it's a lesser priority. Time to make a damage rotation. On turn 1, cast Well Then, Let's Go, Protecka, and Twin Break. On turn 2, cast Full Limit Burst, and double cast Twin Break. On turn 3, use his Limit Burst. On turn 4, cast Well Then, Let's Go, Protecka, and Twin Break. On turn 5, use his Super Limit Burst. On turn 6, triple cast Twin Break. Repeat the rotation from here, though you've lost that mysterious Full Limit Burst move. So, EX2. As a Super Limit Burst damage dealer, Jet automatically benefits from additional EX awakenings. EX plus 2 also unlocks a multitude of powerful tools. Stats, Omni Killer plus 1, and Warring Spirit, enabling a powerful passive foundation and the instant limit burst. Of course, the layer burst is stronger after you've activated some of his abilities to increase its strength, but it's also good as a pure defensive tool. His Super Trustmaster reward is also a potential powerhouse, though there aren't as many units who scale off defense as attack, but nevertheless Jecht is certainly one of them. EX plus 3 gets you his Premium Vision card. It has strong HP and defense, a Guts buff, boosts HP and defense further, and boosts layer burst damage. It's pretty straightforward, and can be useful for units who very clearly subscribe to this kind of spread. On the other hand, it's not that useful for the majority of practically everyone else, and since stats aren't as important to tanks as they are to damage dealers, it cuts down on the scope of units that will really benefit from this. So how good is Fabled Guardian Jecht? As a physical tank, he easily beats out everyone at the same level. When you bring in Runda, who's EX plus 3 and free, it's really just much more economical to stick with the tiny free robot. However, Jecht does have tools that Runda does not. Different elemental resistances, a very good Omni cover, better breaks, stat buffs, passes, and maybe species mitigation if those ever come into play. Some of these things depend on the fight, while others can be provided by other units, but overall, it's something that will vary greatly depending on your inventory. However, there is one angle in which Jecht really beats out Runda, and that's damage. The new global buffs are quite significant for Jecht. His self-amplification ability now throws in a limit burst damage modifier buff alongside a better water amplification buff, though it's really the first part that's so significant, even despite the fact that Jecht lacks an elemental imperil. You see, combine that modifier buff with his super limit burst, and you've got a damage modifier on par with Wilk, Roos, or Die, and all of them have to be hitting an on-species enemy. Combine that with his Super Trustmaster reward, and you've got a damage modifier that beats out Tidus with his. Now of course damage modifiers aren't everything, but it's a good unit to measure out the significant leap Jecht's taken had he not received a buff at all. Furthermore, Jecht is also listed as a physical damage dealer, meaning he can take advantage of equipment like Tidus' Spirit. With this, Jecht is a great tank, and a great damage dealer, except he's also locked to water, so oops. Nevertheless, you can also take his Super Trustmaster reward and apply to other damage dealers that scale off defense. The biggest issue here though is that most of our current defense damage dealers aren't any stronger than Jecht, but they do work with different elements, and Jecht's kinda boned anyways if the enemy sucks up water. You can also use it for future defense-oriented units, like, Global Original, maybe. Thanks for watching, and if you liked this video, leave a like and subscribe. Comment below if you summon Fabled Guardian Jecht. He's someone I definitely wouldn't mind getting off banner, but also someone I don't really see the need to chase to find incredible riser level inventory. Also Lapis.